Welcome. In this video, we're going to go over game setup and the basics of how to play Arkham Horror Final Hour, published by Fantasy Flight Games. This game is a cooperative board game in which investigators will be fighting desperately against a horde of monsters to attempt to reverse the summoning of an ancient one. To undo the summoning ritual, must hunt down the correct components by investigating clues left behind by the cultists. To win the game, you must successfully identify the two ritual components. There are 3 ways to lose. The ritual location has no empty monster spaces and another monster or damage token must be placed. An investigator has no health remaining, and if you aren't able to identify the ritual components. For setup, you place a game board on the table. The game board has several different things going on. You have names, numbers, and colors identifying buildings, the zone they're in, whether they're orange, green, or purple. Each area has a place to put clue icons, ritual locations or gates, and spaces to place monsters. As investigators, you have walkways to go between different locations, identified by the gray cobblestone paths. So you're adjacent to any of these areas for movement. Monster movement is identified by either red or blue arrows. So in this situation, as this is a red monster, if it were to move to the next location, it would follow the arrow. And as a blue monster, it would follow the blue arrow to a new location. Also at the bottom of the board, you have an area for gate tokens. At the end of each turn, you'll take one of these tokens, put it on a corresponding gate, and spawn new monsters. Next is an area for discarded priority cards. And lastly is a space where the ritual components you're trying to figure out will be located. As the game progresses, you will find clues to eliminate ritual components for the end game. With the game board out, next you'll choose your characters. You'll take their standee and their action cards and place them next to the table. So for this game, I'm going to be Lily Chin and Ashcan Pete. Next, you'll create a monster pool. So I've taken all the monster chips and placed them in a bag. These are the standard ones. It's a perfect square, whereas the standard monsters have a chip taken off of one corner. And as we saw below, there are blue and red monsters, and they have special abilities. So on the monster tile, they'll show you your health, and if they have a special icon, it'll be on the lower right. So this one has 1 health, but no special ability. This one has 1 health, and it's known as a hunter. So when it activates, it's going to do a damage to an investigator in its space. Then we have runners, so 2 health. And when this activates, it's going to follow its path, trying to get to the ritual location. And lastly, we have the wreckers. When they activate, they are going to put a damage counter on their location space. So we'll place the rest of these in our monster bag. Next, we'll choose our ancient one to fight. The game recommends starting with Cthulhu on the easy level. So proceeding with setup, we'll flip the card over. You see we need to find 6 deep ones and 3 star spawns. And these are going to be the special monster tokens with the corner clipped off. Place them next to the game board. For easy or normal difficulty, you'll place the ritual location token on the humanities building, number 12. So on the board here. So that's our ritual location we need to protect. Next, we need to place 1 of each gate token in the locations indicated. So with the gate tokens, you have 3 different symbols. And this symbol will go on sorority row, building number 15. Next symbol goes on the science building, number 8. And the last one goes on Dorothy Upman Hall, building number 1. And then next we'll spawn 1 deep one at the gate at Dorothy Upman Hall. So take that from the stack, place it up there. And lastly, we'll spawn 2 monsters at each other location, except the ritual location and gate locations. And put our deep one down in play for further reference. So 2 at the fraternity row. 2 at the athletic facilities, 2 at Student Union, 2 at Derby Hall, 2 at the auditorium, the Quad, Elder Faith Seminary, Warren Library, Miskatonic Museum, the Administration Building, and lastly, 2 at Warren Observatory. Then we'll keep the rest of the monsters nearby because they will be popping out later. Investigators will start at the ritual location. They do not take up monster spaces. They just go next to the name of the building. We'll take the remaining 9 gate locations, shuffle them up, remove 1 from play, and then stack the remaining 8. And this will be the timer for the game, so we have to figure out the rituals by the end of the turn where we place the last gate token. Then we'll take the 10 clue tokens representing the ritual symbols, put them on the table here, and shuffle them up. And choose 2. That will be the symbols we need to identify by the end of the game. Then we will take the 3 clue icons with the key symbol on them and shuffle those into the remaining 8 tokens. And then they will go on the remainder of the locations out here that do not have a gate icon on them. And each player will be dealt 5 priority cards. We'll put the rest of them next to the board. As you can see, I'm setting up for a 2-player game. So according to the rule book, each player will then receive 5 health tokens. And that number will change depending on the number of players. Then bring in the rest of the components. So we'll put the item deck next to the table. We have seal tokens, damage tokens, and we'll choose one of the players to be the lead investigator. So that's everything for setup. So now on the gameplay. Each player can get a reference card. So this goes through the play priority. So it's going to start with an action phase. You'll play priority cards, draw a priority card after playing one. So you'll constantly have 5 cards. You'll resolve actions from lowest to highest, following the priority cards. For the Ancient One phase, you'll do a Reckoning. You'll discard priority cards, resolving the Omen effects. You'll progress the timer by taking one of the gate tokens, putting it on its corresponding space, and spawning monsters. And then you'll pass the lead investigator token. And then there's a reference on what monsters do when they activate. Once again, you've got killers, so they'll do damage to investigators. You've got the runners that's going to move, following their path, whether they're on the red or blue. And lastly, the wreckers, doing damages to its space. So for the action phase, we need to play and resolve 4 priority cards. So in this example of a 2-player game, we have Chin look at her card. On the cards, it's got 2 options. We have the upper half of the card and the lower half of the card. Priority cards are numbered from 1 to 30, and they're going to determine the order. The lowest 2 numbers will do the top half of the card, and the highest 2 numbers will do the bottom half of the card. So, options. Resolve up to 2 of the following effects in any order. You can move 1 time, so just following a walking path to the next location. Repair your location 1 time. So if there was damage on a building, you can remove it. Seal a walkway connected to your location, placing a gray side face up. So these seals have a full seal token, and gray side up would be partially damaged. So when they're in place and the monster were to move it, it would kill the monster, damaging the seal, and the next monster to come in the area would also die, removing the seal. And of course, recovering health. So we start with nice red hearts, and when we take damage, we turn over to this side. So healing just flips it back over. And then bottom side, choose another investigator. You and that investigator each lose 1 health. So that's terrible. So with a card like this, she's definitely going to want to go first. So looking through her priority cards, looking at these, she's going to place this priority card face down so you can't talk to the other players. You'll put a priority card face up on top of that, and then they'll follow suit. So for Ashcan Pete, you can go attack monsters at your location or an adjacent location for 2 damage, then move up to 2 times. So adjacency is determined by pathways, not just arrows. So while there are red arrows connecting these buildings, they are not adjacent. They have to be the normal pathways. So he could, in this location, do 2 damage, destroying these 2 monsters, and then move up to 2 times. And the bottom ability, move up to 1 time, then investigate your location, then 2 monsters spawn at your location. So you can go out there, flip over the bottom token. If it's a key, you're going to draw an item card, and you can put this next to your deck, playing it at any time. And if it's a ritual icon, you'll place it down here. And now you'll know there's less of a chance that one of these is going to be a clover. And when monsters spawn, you just grab your bag, cup, or whatever you're using, take 2 monsters out and put them in that location. If for any reason a location is full and you try to place a monster in the space, it's just going to follow the arrows to the next location. So in this case, a blue monster is going to follow the blue path. But those are all hypotheticals. So basically, he would just place this card face down, picking a priority card. He's okay going with late on that one. Put that number side up. Chin will then pick one. Doing the same thing. She would have drawn back up to 5, and not really too concerned about that one. Then Ashcan Pete would have 5 cards, looking at his, and then put a number face up on that. Drawing another priority card each, keeping up to the hand size of 5. And of course, each of these would be face down, so other players would not be able to read them. Then you resolve them in numerical order. So the 3 and the 5 would resolve the top half of their card. The 25 and 27 would resolve the bottom half. So for this one, she gets to choose 2 of these to do. So we'll say she'll just move up to this location and throw a seal out there. So those would be those 2 items, and that will be discarded. Then Ashcan Pete would move up to 2 times and resolve one of the following effects. Investigator at your location recovers 1 health, or attack monsters at your location for 3 damage. So I can have him move 2 spaces and do 3 damage to this monster. And we'll place that next to the board, discard that one. Then we'd resolve card 25, doing the bottom half. So move up to 1 time, then you investigate your location. Have her move up to Fraternity Row, investigating here, finding a key, which would get her an item. And then a monster spawns at each gate. So we have 3 gates on the board. Put a monster out there. Monster at that gate. And a monster at that gate. Then Ashcan Pete would resolve his bottom effect. Move up to 1 time, then investigate your location. We'll have him move over to Derby Hall. Take a look there. Finding a star. And then 2 monsters spawn at your location. So that location is full. So the red monster is going to come in and follow the arrow down. And the next one coming in is going to be blue, so it's going to follow the blue arrow over to the next location. And that's going to end all the actions. Then for the Ancient One phase, all the priority cards used, we are going to take a look at the omen symbols. So you can see there were 5 omens played on this. Discard those. Reference the monster chart. So 5 to 6, walking nightmares. Spawn 1 star spawn at that gate. Then activate 1 star spawn of your choice. So he's going to come in over here. He's the only one on the board. So he's going to wreck twice. So he'll take 2 damage. And basically he blows up the spot he's sitting in and moves. So those guys you want to take care of quickly. Then you progress time, taking the gate, finding the symbol, and then placing it on the same symbol on the board. And then spawn numbers equal to those tokens. So we get 2 monsters there. Picking from our bag, place them out there, and then pass the lead investigator token to the next player. So you will continue doing those actions, and as you do more investigations, you'll get more symbols down here. And at any point at the end of a round, you can try to guess, and it's not as simple as just saying, hey, I think these are stars, and maybe an hourglass. Each player gets to add 3 cards from their hands. So while you're doing priority cards, you need to be saving certain cards with ritual symbols. And you'll play those into the stack. And this is not a good time, but like I said, this is just explaining the game. And if the card icons equal or match the number of players times 2, you've won the game. And as you can see, in this scenario, 2 players, we need 4 correct icons. We did not get it, so we would have lost the game. So that's the basics of how to play Arkham Horror Final Hour. Stay tuned. In my next video, I'll do a solo playthrough. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.